Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm here to talk about my TBR for the 2021 BookTube Prize quarterfinals. So the BookTube Prize was started by Robert at Barter Hordes, primarily for the BookTube community, but I think it also has expanded to other people who talk about books on the internet because it is a award that needs a lot of judges. We go through the best in fiction, literary fiction, and nonfiction from the year before. So this year it's in 2020, and we have 4 rounds where we whittle down a long list of 48 titles per division down to one in October. So this is the second round, the quarterfinals, where each division has 24 books. We recently finished up the octafinals, and I'll link down below to my video about my ballot for the octafinals and what I thought about them. For the quarterfinals, I am judging for nonfiction Group C, with 6 entirely new titles to me. And to start out with, I thought I'd just parade their covers right here in this video. Okay, and here are my quick thoughts, starting with A Promised Land by Barack Obama. This was one of the books that I chose to be on the nonfiction long list. I still have my long list ballots for fiction and nonfiction here, just tracking things with them for my own purposes. Anyway. But I actually talked about A Promised Land in conjunction with the BookTube Prize before we were, voting on the long list. I made a post where I highlighted back in December 4 titles that I thought might make it onto the long lists for fiction and nonfiction. 3 of those 4 titles have made it to the quarterfinals, including Cast by Isabel Wilkerson, which I read and rated #1 in my octafinals ballot. But 1 has not made it, A Burning by Megha Majumdar, which was a debut fiction novel, which was very popular and made it, to the octafinals, but not past it. I've kind of been hoping that, somebody from that judging group would, make a video to explain what they thought, and I could get a sense of why it didn't advance. But that being said, I'm still going to read that book, I think. But anyway, I think I'm supposed to be talking about A Promised Land, which is Barack Obama's first memoir, and I think a series of memoirs about his presidency. It's a little bit of a chunkster, but that's only going to get worse from here in this group, so not too much to be afraid of there. Looking forward to it. Next, I'll talk about Entangled Life, How Fungi Make Our Worlds, Change Our Minds, and Shape Our Futures by Merlin Sheldrake, which, with a name like Merlin, you think he should only be talking about magic, right? I'm excited for this for a few reasons. This was another one that I actually chose to be on the long list for nonfiction, and it is a science book. I didn't have any science books in my last ballot, and in this one I have 2, so I'm excited for that. And I certainly hope for good things with this book, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to buy it. The holds lists at the library are too long for me. I won't be able to get it before the quarterfinals end. So, hoping for good things definitely here. The second science book is FATHOMS, The World of the Whale by Rebecca Giggs. I didn't vote for this one for the long list, and I really can't tell you why off the top of my head. I want to read science books, but I don't actually understand much about science. All I can think of is that I tried to make a smorgasbord when choosing science books, and perhaps when it comes to animals, I went the bird direction because, the booktube community, the nonfiction booktube community, actually has, as I understand it, a hankering for bird books. So I chose bird over whale, I guess, but I'll take whales. I'll learn more about whales. It'll be a happy time. Moving on to a subject that is perhaps a little more in my wheelhouse, I'll go with Square Haunting, 5 Writers in London Between the Wars by Francesca Wade. I'm saying this is in my wheelhouse because I was an English major and I read fiction writers, but technically speaking, of the 5 writers highlighted in this book, I only know of Virginia Woolf, so I shouldn't be propping myself up too highly here. But I'm excited to learn more about English female writers in this time period. Maybe I'll be adding more of them to my TBR. This next book is also about women in war, but with a highly different and more somber, I would think, approach. This is Our Bodies, Their Battlefields, War Through the Lives of Women by Christina Lamb. This book I think I'm a little concerned about. I find sexual assault to be a fraught topic even in the domestic sphere. I have this memory when I was in journalism grad school. We had a media ethics class, and our professor was, I think, trying to rile us a little bit. Because there's a rule that when you're writing a story about a victim of rape, you don't name that victim's name publicly in order to, shield, their privacy. And it's a rare thing because with all other victims, you tend to name them, especially with heinous crimes like murder. And so she was going on about how she thinks rape victims should be treated the same. It's weird to compare the two because obviously both are awful, but when it comes to publishing names of murder victims, you can't hurt them anymore. Whereas our society has a lot of stigma placed upon victims of rape even. I think all we have to do is look at last year's nonfiction winner in the BookTube Prize, Know My Name by Chanel Miller, to understand how pernicious it can be. So yeah, I feel like rape and the treatment of rape is sort of a sensitive topic. It kind of gets my heckles going a little bit. And this one will bring the extra trauma of being a wartime situation where the stakes, if anything, are even more gruesome. So I have a lot of emotion even talking about this book, and I want to make sure that I judge it fairly for how it's written. So that'll be, I think, one of my big challenges of this reading ballot. And to end with, I thought I'd talk about the other big challenge, and I mean big challenge of this reading ballot, which is Red Comet, The Short Life and Blazing Art of SYLVIA Plath by Heather Clark, which comes out to something like a whopping 1,100 pages. This is my comeuppance, perhaps, for getting anxious about Ducks Newburyport last year and squeeing when it was eliminated early from the BookTube Prize. Not so lucky this round, this year. And it feels even more oppressive because beyond this book, I also am reading the 700-page Barack Obama book, so That being said, I am looking forward to Red Comet. I am intrigued that it was well received enough in the octafinals to make it this far. I would like to learn more about SYLVIA Plath. I certainly would. I've read The Bell Jar by her. Admittedly, I don't think I've read any of her poetry, or at least not in a concentrated way. Maybe I'll change my mind after reading this, or maybe not, because maybe I'll have had enough of SYLVIA Plath by the end of this. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, those are the 6 books I will be reading for the next 2 months. I will leave links to their Goodreads pages down below. Most of them I should be getting from the library, except perhaps for Entangled Life, as I mentioned, might not get to me in time. And I don't have to worry about waiting in line for A Promised Land because my mother gave my father that book over the winter holidays, so I can snatch that from him. Huzzah! I'm currently on the waiting list for Red Comet, but I am almost entirely positive that I will receive that book before May. And meantime, I already have these 3 books from the library, so huzzah, they were pretty easy to get. So yes, these will be what I will be reading in April for the BookTube Prize. We have Square Haunting, Fathoms, and Our Bodies, Their Battlefields. But that about covers it for me now, and I will officially go hush on these books here on out until the quarterfinals end at the end of May. If you are now curious about the BookTube prize and haven't heard of it before, Robert is still accepting judges, I believe. The quarterfinals round is underway, but I will link to a video down below with more information in case you want to sign up for fiction, nonfiction, or both for the semifinals and finals this year. I believe that's still an option, or at the very least, you might want to consider being a judge next year. And next year, we should also be adding a new division for translated fiction. So that's very exciting to have more books entering the fold, and exciting to have new judges entering the fold, because Robert wouldn't be able to do this without a bunch of people committing their time to this project, and I am so thrilled to be one of them. Anyway, I will be back on this channel in a couple of days for my first Friday Reads of the month, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.